And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm honored, but I don't really want to come back, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to make a soul pact with you. I want to see what's after this.
yeah, yeah. Let me get some options, some clarity on the situation first, because
Yeah.
if I could just like melt into colors or something, I might choose that.
Welcome to Better Than Podcast. How are you doing down there in Athens? Are you in Athens?
I am. I'm back in Athens. I was in Atlanta working on a project, and we're taking a break from that. So,
Okay.
so I'm back in Athens.
How's your break going?
It's going all right. I mean, I'm still working on some things because once this whole thing we get through it, then we're hopeful at least that there's a couple other shows I'm trying to go ahead and get a head start on casting wise.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, so that's good, and it seems like I'm excited to get through this. This is incredibly inconvenient for everyone. I know, not just for me. I'm just I don't know. I mean, a lot my daily life, like if I wasn't on a project, it doesn't change much. I'm still at home making stuff, reading books, doing those types of things. But I do miss going out and seeing people and all of that stuff.
Yeah, my friend came over last night and just for a little while, and it was so nice to see like somebody else.
Yeah, I went and saw a couple of friends the other night, and I didn't know if they'd, be willing to see me or not, because I don't know how people are playing this. So everybody's kind of got a different take on it. And at first I was like, well, I haven't seen anything happen. Now I do know people who have been affected by it.
Okay.
Down in South Georgia and stuff. There's several cases down there, and like one of my cousin's neighbors passed away, I think, from it. It wasn't from the flu or any of that. She got tested for a bunch of different things, but not coronavirus, but she did pass away. So that's
Okay.
bizarre. And yeah, so just trying to play it by ear. It just seems like just nobody really knows what's going on, and there's not a lot of answers,
Sure. Yeah. This morning it was, something in the news about how the president like wants to, get over the whole social distancing thing and, because we can't let the economy whatever. And that was just kind of disheartening. I don't know. But at the same time, like everybody that I talk to is like, I'm staying home. I have no problem staying home. It's fine. We'll get through it one way or the other. But I don't think anybody really feels like now is the time to pretend like everything's fine.
Everything's not fine. And I have
Mm-hmm.
my friend in Italy assured me just as much. He's like, dude, it's not going to be over in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's not fine. I don't know. Again, I can only speculate as to what exactly is going on, but people are there's definitely something going on, and it's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's shut Italy completely down. Australia is pretty much shut down.
Sure.
So
Do you like try to think about like, are you making a roadmap for because I'm just kind of settled in for the long haul. I figure I'm just going to podcast this out, Are you thinking like building a roadmap for yourself for like the next few months?
I'm definitely, creating content, and there's a bunch of stuff that I've been wanting to make and just didn't have time to make. Like I'm doing a series on Tufty right now, and I did a couple of videos about releasing, emotional attachments and traumas, and so I just want to give people as much as I can, resource wise. Try to bring some joy and hope as much as possible into people's lives, laughter. Me and
Uh-huh.
all my friends are doing tons of comedy stuff, mostly like live
Yeah.
podcasts and
I'm
things like
loving the puppets. I'm really loving the puppets.
yeah, the puppets are fun. That's
They
something.
are fun.
Yeah, I've been thinking about those for a long time. I've even written a script. for the puppets, like a full on, show type script. But since this all happened, we are just like, well, let's just play with them. Like I'll drop off
Yeah.
the squirrel who's like, a prepper, squirrel the prepper. I'll drop him off at my friend Ben's house here in the next day or two, and he'll make a video or two. And each of us kind of have a character or two that we could play and develop and just have fun with.
Oh, I can't wait to see the character development.
I mean, yeah, that's something that I've been working on actually for months, to be honest. Like when I was on the cruise ships and stuff, I was writing about these characters and what they represent. Each one's really, a part of ourselves, I'd say. The rabbit being the main character, and he's trying to figure things out, but he's always going to have a little bit of a blowback to it. He'll try and solve world hunger, but then overpopulate the world or something.
I think he places too much importance.
Yeah, of course he does. He can't help it. He can't help himself, But that's part of the fun. It's a comedy, so you want to basically torment and torture your characters as much as possible.
Yes.
And, that's the one way you can do that. And that's
Maybe there should be one character where no matter what's going on with all the other characters, everything works out perfectly for the one character. And they're all trying to figure it out.
What is she doing? She's doing something right.
Oh my goodness. And this is really funny to me, but I still have clients who are like, messaging for haircuts, and I'm like, go home. What are you doing? You're talking to your hairstylist who in about 3 months is going to have a mullet. Like, right. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no, we're like 3 weeks. Somebody said we're like 3 weeks out from knowing everybody's true hair color because the roots are going to start.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
But there's nobody to impress. Everybody's just rocking sweatpants,
Absolutely.
That's our apocalypse gear. We thought it was going to be, like strapped up bullets and.
I'm in my hoodie. I'm in my hoodie and my pajama pants, and I got a headband on, and I don't care because I don't do video on the podcast.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad about that too. We were setting up something so that we can do some video live streams later this week, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I really like doing the audio stuff, because. I don't know. It's just easier, and especially if we're playing characters on a radio show or something like that, it makes more sense. I don't have to dress up or something, But like the National Conspirator is one of the shows that we're doing that one tonight, and that's basically all these different experts who come in, and tonight we'll do UFOs, but we did one on cryptids the other day, and that was super fun. And we had a lot of people calling in.
Oh, that's really cool. This is one that I haven't had a chance to check out yet, so I'm going to have to because that sounds like so much fun.
It is fun.
It's like coast to coast, but like for the new world.
It's like coast to coast, but it's really playful and outrageous.
Yes.
So, we're not doing too much like real research or whatever. We're blowing it out of proportion and being silly and ridiculous. But maybe throwing a few tidbits in there.
Okay, and what's it called again? One more time for the listeners.
The National Conspirator. So everything that I do comedy-wise can be found on the Flying Squid Comedy YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, all of that.
Nice.
But yeah, for anybody who wants to find it, like that's where all the content is going and organized. We have several different shows that we're doing. The whole comedy landscape has changed, I mean, it's not going to it's not going to be the same for a while. I don't know,
Yeah, man.
I asked Kelly last night, I was like, do you think that stand-up comedy is even an art form worth pursuing at this moment?
Who was that?
One of the guys that I work with.
Okay.
He's a
Are
comic.
you kidding?
No, I'm kind of
This
serious.
this is this no, I mean, like, I feel like this is the best time and probably the most necessary time,
It
right?
definitely is for comedy, but for that particular
Yes.
art form itself, where you stand up
Mm.
and tell jokes to a room full of people, that is, yeah. Unless you got 9 people in the room and you're the 10th, that's about as many as you can fit, right?
I
So
don't
that,
even know if I'm really comfortable with 10 people
yeah,
at this point.
fair enough. Fair enough. 10's a lot. No, I mean,
Yeah, nope, I totally see I see what you're saying. Exactly.
yeah. So I mean, with that being the case, like I think that different, um, different formats, different formats are going to be a little bit more, I guess, convenient and usable for in the world of comedy. So, like a live radio show, or
Sure.
because like
Um,
even doing like improv comedy to a empty room, it
yeah.
could be really weird,
Yeah, but I like weird. Weird is good. I
Yeah.
mean, I like the idea of doing stand up to each other online. I really like that idea. And I don't know. Are you familiar with TikTok's platform?
Yeah, I do know TikTok.
Okay, so I would love to see what kind of creative comedy could be thought of, like with the whole I forget what they call it, where you can like follow another video. It's not or I think you can parody the video. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
I would, yeah, I'd like to see what everybody comes up with now that they have all this extra time on their hands.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean we do have extra time, but I don't know, man. I mean, I just feel like it's tough. It's tough to be productive. It's been raining here for like 4 days straight, and just like
Mhm.
that whole bit just is, it's not. I don't know. It's just a weird time. I'm being
Yeah.
productive, but it's like a different type of productive. It's like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Just making content and stuff, but at the same time, it's just the world just feels even more inert, even
Mhm.
heavier, even like there's like a thicker, like you're walking through gravy, you know.
Okay. Okay. Yes. No, I know exactly. So can we just talk about like magical stuff for a little while?
Sure.
Like, okay, because like, well, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm processing all kinds of different like feelings and emotions and energy that I don't even know what's going on, like second to second. And, but this is what I want to tell you about because it's a little bit wild and I want to know what you think about it. So I went to that Phoenix meetup for like the Jessa Reed podcast.
Awesome.
And yeah, and 2 days before I went, my editor at the time was like, "Hey, I've got some serious family stuff going on, and I don't know how much time I can commit to you right now." And so, trying not to be attached, trying not to put importance on it, but still kind of freaking out because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep doing this because you know how time consuming the editing is. And so I went down there, and then the last day I was there, um, I met Lorin, who is now my editor, and he basically begged me to let him edit the podcast because he's in a position at work where he has absolutely nothing to do.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing to do, and they want to keep him on full time. And he said it's sucking his soul. So the universe worked really quick
Hmm.
on that one, I have to say.
That's really
Um,
cool.
yeah. And then about 2 weeks before all of this happened, well, it was about 2 weeks after it became kind of public consciousness that this virus was happening. Um, I used one of Noah Lampert's imaginal techniques where when you're falling asleep in bed, you um, just really feel what it feels like to have the thing that it is that you really want.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I don't want to ruin it for myself. I don't want to, you know what I mean? The whole idea is to not really attach too much importance to it.
Right.
But less than 2 weeks later, all of this happened.
Huh.
And it completely, I mean, so far is bringing in what I had asked, or, what my goal was, I guess.
That's awesome.
So that's been since the last time I talked to you, my
That
life.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because like there's a lot of people, and I had to make a video the other day, or I felt that I should, because
Mhm.
somebody had commented something on Instagram about like flying in reality or something, and there's a lot of confusion I think with folks in reality creation. Some people might even blame themselves, right? Because they
Oh
think that
no,
they
I hope
influence reality so much that they've transurfed their way, for lack of a better way to say it, to this reality. And it's like, look, no, that's not
no.
how this works. There's a lot of people who are influencing reality. There
Hmm.
are objective rules and laws that govern
Right.
physical third dimensional reality. And we have to play by those rules when we're.
I think it would be right, right. And I think that it would be fair to say that we may have collectively brought this on, you know. I don't, which I'm not even putting any judgment on that, but I think there are a lot of people out there who are kind of trying to come into their own as God, as the force of creation, and really understanding what it means to be a human being. More and more people every day, I think. And so I wouldn't be surprised if collectively we managed to shift timelines or film rolls or whatever, because that's a lot of energy that we're kind of all putting out at the same time.
Yeah, I think we all are influencing, the main narrative, that's built on the foundation, the fundamental principles of
Yes.
reality. But we
Yes. Of
are,
course.
we
Of
are
course.
absolutely, because like every reality does exist, but it's not like you just jump from one that's way over here to another one that's, super duper far away. Um,
There's no jump cuts, as
yeah,
Justin Reed says.
there's no jump cuts.
No,
You can't
sir.
move like that. Um,
Uh-uh.
but yeah, I mean, in the information space, everything already exists. Every idea is already out there in the ether. Every potential scenario, all of that. We're just tracking, to this particular one, and maybe it was maybe several people, and we're all influencing it consciously, subconsciously, doesn't matter. And who knows how this thing got out? It could have just been on some dude's shoelace when he left the lab. It could have been intentional. There's no telling.
I Yeah, I did read the press release from the Justice Department that you put out. That was really interesting.
Yeah, it is, and that was sent to me by a friend of mine who is a nurse, and I'm trying to like talk to people who are in the medical field who have a little bit more of a grasp, because I don't know much about it, and I don't think I could do that. I couldn't be a nurse. That's not something I could personally do. So I have a lot of respect for folks who are doing that.
No doubt.
But it's just interesting to hear their perspective and how they're dealing with it. And my friends do face death every day who are in a hospital, and so that does numb you a little bit to that. But at the same time, as far as perspective goes, I don't think you can find really anybody who has a better grasp on the severity of something like this.
Yeah. And
Um,
what are they saying?
well, so far they have not, and I need to follow back up with Isaac, but so far he's not winced about this.
Hmm.
It hasn't been a big deal. Mostly they've turned people away who thought, because I mean, imagine how many people who are, what is it called whenever you, I think just all the time think you're sick.
Oh, hypochondria.
Yeah, imagine
Hypochondria.
all the
Hmm.
hypochondriacs who think they probably have this, and then there's not enough tests and things like that. I mean, it's a big, big, big shit show.
Hmm.
Really, it really is. But all that said, I haven't seen any of the people who I know in healthcare. They expect, I think, to see more people in the next couple of weeks, and then that makes sense to me. But so far, it hasn't been all that crazy. I think we have like 20 something cases here, 25. I just heard 25 confirmed cases here in Clark County, and so all the 25 of those people are on ventilators at the hospital. But basically, the way it's happening is like one or two people will get it, and then it will cluster, and then it will spread.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's kind of where we're at right now. Is these clusters are kind of happening. Um,
Sure. Sure.
so it's pretty bizarre. It's just I don't know. I've thought about so many different scenarios. It's like from the conspiracy mind or
Yeah.
whatever. I've never considered this. Never even thought about it. Even with the movies and everything, I've just never even thought about something like this um, being affecting us. It's just so
Right.
crazy. So
Right. Yeah. And I kind of like my ideas about like the kind of ruling elite governmental machines and that kind of a thing. I've been paying so little attention to them and placing so much importance on, or so little importance on them for long enough to where I kind of don't care what the cause was, if it was a conspiracy or if it was an accident or whatever, and I kind of don't care about what solutions they come up with either,
hmm
because I feel like whatever they decide to do isn't going to be enough, and it's not going to um, bring in the new world that I think we should be building, So they just feel so irrelevant to me, because I'm watching what different people are doing online. And I mean, you've got huge forums where people are just Venmoing each other or
hmm
finding places for homeless people to go. And um, we're just doing it while they're, up there fighting and, you know, not helping, not being productive. And saying, hey, maybe we should just go back to business as usual, which is just insane. um, we're out here like fixing stuff. People are fixing stuff. You're out there making comedy, making sure that we have our spirits up, like I just so get the feeling that we got this. You know what I'm saying?
I love hearing that. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen how desperate. And then my friend said in a Marco Polo to me the other day, the powers that were, right? And I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
love it.
And you see how desperate these folks have been
They're
over the
flailing.
after the yeah. I mean, look at the Epstein thing. I mean, that's just case in point right
Oh,
there. Like
I
that
think
was
they're
so
kicking and
sloppily
screaming and
handled. Yeah.
yeah, they're kicking and screaming and wanting to burn the house down because
Yep.
they don't know what to do.
Yep. So this is definitely an important time for the common people. I don't know whatever we'd be called to
All
do
of
things like that. That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that people are doing things, taking care of homeless people, Venmoing each other, and
It's
just doing
amazing.
just doing what we know. Like because there's something you can't snuff out the voice inside someone. You can't snuff that out no matter what. There's truth to the Star Wars, and and if you listen to what is happening inside of you as a human being, you know what your role is and what you should be doing.
Yes.
And so,
Yep.
my role is to help people understand that and to not doubt themselves,
Yes.
and to hopefully, be somewhat positive. It's hard. It's hard to wake up and, I slept late today. I'm so sorry about that, by the way.
You're fine. I'm kind of wanting to embrace not even having a schedule. Like
Uh-huh.
it just feels good to me. I don't know. Like the kids will probably end up driving me crazy, but it just seems like we should do whatever we want whenever we want. So you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are staying up later as a result of
Mhm.
this, or it seems like it. I definitely have been, which is kind of funny because like comedy is a late night thing, anyways. But we stayed
Yeah,
up last night until like 4 a.m. making a podcast, and it's just
that's
I
awesome
was
though.
just exhausted and slept in a little bit today. But yeah, I mean, we all have to do what we can to stay sane,
Mhm.
keep each other sane, and and to put ourselves in a position to be of help, right? Because sitting
Yeah.
around and not doing anything is inaction is a decision where we're not contributing. So we need to do something,
Yeah.
whatever that is. It doesn't have to be a big thing,
Yeah.
but anything, something,
Right, right. And for me, what I'm trying to podcast every day. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of, because I feel like my role here is maybe to, for the moment, observe all of this and share with other people how I'm navigating, I guess. And so, like in practical terms, I want to let people know, like, we don't nobody was really prepared to not have income for the foreseeable future. Nobody was
Right.
really prepared to not be paying their rent. It's rent, everybody's rent and mortgages are coming up in a couple of days.
Yep.
And my my approach is just that um, I don't expect that. And we're calling the mortgage or the property management company today just to see, like, what's your policy going to be moving forward. And probably what we should, I'm thinking we're going to call banks and that kind of stuff. And, because that's a side subject, never mind.
But no, yeah,
So yeah, but so my point is, like, we need to be creative about how we're going to be bringing in resources at least over the next few weeks.
hmm,
I know there's a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck and they're
yep,
budgeted down to their groceries. So one thing that I'm going to do, if for the listeners who don't know what I do for a living, but I'm a hairstylist, and I've decided, at least for this week, I'm not going to be going to work. I worked until Saturday last week, and I'm going to call people the early part of next week. So if you're somebody that finds yourself working by appointment closely with a public massage therapist or what have you, and you're self-employed, don't stress, don't panic, take it day by day. I told all my clients I'll get a hold of you early next week and we'll see what it looks like. I'm not going to commit to going in or not going in. And at some point, I may just have to do haircuts outside the salon, like, for donation or whatever, because of rules and regulations. But um, there are ways to navigate this if we really look to find an advantage in individual situations.
absolutely.
It's a really helpful approach to, instead of become frustrated with a problem, to look for the advantage for yourself, because it's there. You'll find it if you're looking for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's an important thing to always keep in mind. That's the thing that keeps us really in a place of being effective versus in a place of being controlled. As soon as
Yes.
we submit to that panic, that fear, that worry, and allow it to bully us and push us around, that's when we're powerless. And when we face a situation and say, okay, this is what it is, and we can allow ourselves the freedom to be calm and assess the
Yeah.
situation and make good decisions, then that puts us in a much more powerful place. The thing that concerns me most about anything like this, any pandemic or any tragedy, is the smash and grab of people trying to take more rights, the government growing and
Yes.
and chewing off more power, right? Like that's what we need to be vigilant toward. Civil liberties are really important to the democratic process, and then also I've seen a lot of people just shaming other people, and that's not cool. That's not going to
In
help
what
anything.
ways?
Well, if people are being shamed for either going out or and not taking this as seriously as they should. Some people are
Hmm.
being shamed for the opposite reason, for taking it too
Right.
seriously, right? But either
Right.
either of those are just not helping anybody. It's like
Right.
we each need to do what we know we should do, and listen to that, and do that, instead of following
Yeah.
suit just because someone else
No.
said something.
Listen to your gut, follow your heart. If you feel like you need to be out doing things, then that's what you need to be doing. If you feel like you need to stay home, that's fine, and
Yep.
you're only going to be helping by staying home if that's what you want to do. So don't, I mean, just, people, you got to trust your gut on this one. Don't let the president or Facebook, or I don't know what people are listening to or watching, but don't, or friends and family, coworkers, don't let people pressure you to act in ways that you don't feel is true to you.
Yeah, that's all the time. You know, we always need to be
Yeah.
operating from that place. But if we can find
Yeah.
the advantage here that is looking at us being like, okay, cool, check in with yourself. What do you need to be doing? You know, what is your gift now? What do you need to be providing? What are you bringing into the world? And we're constantly in that place where we're you know we're going to be giving the thing that the world needs the most, and then out our intention, which is what I would consider like the positive force for good is
Yeah.
served and met, and that's this win-win-win,
Right.
which is good for everyone. So hopefully we
Yep.
can, just keep our wits about us, stay calm. Like a lot of the stuff that I've been working on teaching just on YouTube is really about releasing, and that allows us to not be so reactive. It allows us to drop importance, right? Because it's one thing to say drop importance, and it's another thing to do
Right.
it.
Can you tell the listeners what video in particular would be helpful for that?
Yeah, sure. I just made two that are titled very clickbaity. Why
Yeah.
Transurfing doesn't work, and I put those both up on my YouTube channel, Bootsy Greenwood. You can check those both out, and for folks who want to a little bit more in detail, I've got some documents that are written out that kind of go through the processes. There's many different ways to release like traumas, and basically what happens is that there was this guy that I just fell in love with many years ago named Robert Anton Wilson. He wrote a book called Prometheus Rising, and he talked about how we imprint, at a very young age, coming up through our development. We imprint in the stages of the maternal imprint, the maternal imprints, like breastfeeding. It's very much out of fear
Sure.
and helplessness. We imprint and take on information at that stage in our life, and that tells us, our subconscious mind, information about the world. Then we go through imprints when we're going through our ego development at 2 years old. We're learning our place in the herd. Is the world a safe place? Does it take care of me? Is the world dangerous, etc. Right? So we're just giving our subconscious mind this information. We're training it, unbeknownst to us, not intentionally.
Yep.
Then we have the semantic circuit, which is words, separations, like tying and attaching words to ideas and concepts. Very left-brained sort of process. We have imprints happening there, and then finally, during adolescence, during our sexual development, we have imprints there. And so Robert Anton Wilson and Timothy Leary both were really interested in this. There are higher circuits than that, but those are the 4 developmental stages of psychology. So we study that part in college, but we don't really get into the higher sort of levels, which are a
Yeah.
lot more difficult to explain. But the idea is that our higher self, as we grow in consciousness and we're able to be more aware and more self-aware, then we can go through and we can fix those traumas. We can go through and change those imprints and our relationships to the events that made us into who we are, right? If we have some negative traumas, if we have some things that keep us from allowing ourselves to have, as the dean says in the book, then there are methods where we can go through, explore what those stumbling blocks are, which are just inadvertent traumas, inadvertent information that we were imprinted with when we were developing. And we can change our relationship to those, and then all of a sudden, now we can surpass that. Now we can allow ourselves to have the things that we wanted initially. So
Right.
those videos go through it and explain it in a way, I think, that because there are a lot of different methods I've had friends who are hypnotherapists, and I've gotten a lot of success with that. And then there's people who do binaural beats and different theta brain waves and things. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and there's no right or wrong way. But the idea is to go in, find an experience that is informative on why you feel this way. Like the example that I use in the video is, I feel inadequate to perform, let's say, if I'm a comedian or something like that. And so where does that inadequacy come from, right? So I lay down. I usually try to use box breathing or rhythmic breathing, where you count to 7, hold for 7, exhale for 7, hold for 7, for instance. That could be a different number. It could be 6, it could be 5. Anyway, but using that type of breathing, because it slows your heart rate down and puts you in a more relaxed state. And then you can start to explore and discover where did I get this information that I was inadequate? Was it, when was the last time that I felt this way? And then you start there, you go to that place, and then you continue to ask yourself on and on and on and on. When was the time before that? And the time before that? And you try and discover the most original time where you experienced this
Mm-hmm.
particular trauma, or you had this information given to you and you believed it, in your subconscious. And then at that point, now you've discovered it, and now you can change your relationship to it, and you could even let it go. And you often feel this sort of tension in your chest or stomach area, and then you can just literally exhale that and blow it out of your mouth and blow it away, because your subconscious doesn't want to hold on to that. But there are parts of us that really want, like there's a protector part of us, for instance, of our personality. And that's a lot of times what, stops us from doing certain things, because we want to be safe. We want to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a courageous part of us. There's a lot of different parts of our personality that are all integrated. But the idea is to let go of anything that holds us as a stumbling block, any of the traumas from the past, from our development. Let go of those things, and then we can navigate the world in a way that's much lighter, much easier, and much more relaxed. And so
Yeah.
dropping importance is, not a problem. Now we can get to that thing that we wanted, because we don't have a speed bump in the way, right? So you remove the speed bump, and it's really not that big of a deal to walk into that reality, or have that thing that you desire.
That
That you desired.
that's really beautiful. Thank you. That was really good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Uh,
And I want to hear from people too, because like I said, I don't think there's one particular way to do this,
yeah.
so exploring yourself and exploring your inner sort of world, it's going to be helpful, even if it seems fruitless. It's still gonna pay off. So I'd love to hear people's experiences and what their methods are, because
Yeah.
I said I have my own, but and then I have some that people have taught me, and then some that I've been taken through hypnotherapy. But I don't want anybody to think that they're doing it wrong, because that's not possible.
Well, and two, I don't think that it's always necessary for everyone to use a method. Sometimes it's a shift in the way you think, that maybe be brought on by a new piece of information, or for me, it's um, the belief that I come from creation and I have a spark of divinity in me. And so when I remind myself of that, it makes me feel really confident that I can accomplish whatever it is that I feel compelled to or need to do. And it's not a Christian perspective by any means. I believe it as fact, as scientific fact, as religious fact, as is like one of the very few truths that there are in the world, is that we all have that spark of divinity and we all have something to contribute, and that we are also wanted and worthy of that that mission in life. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that there's any specific doctrine or dogma or religion. I think that I think it doesn't matter. I have
No,
people in my
yeah,
life who have wildly different views and philosophies, but I think we are all, like, as Bill Hicks said, one consciousness experiencing itself.
yes,
While we're here, it's a game. So to speak. It's a
right.
very serious, very serious cosmic joke. Um,
It's a very serious yet the ultimate fun game also, because the stakes are so high.
yeah. Yeah, it's just human enslavement for what, millennia at a time or something.
Right? But oh yeah, but think of all the loot you'll pick up when the slaves bust out.
That's right. No, it's great.
Uh,
It makes me so
it,
happy. Yeah. So many things have happened in the past gosh, several months, where I thought I was going to go in one direction, and then all of a sudden, no, not at all. And then, but it's been really interesting and cool because I've managed to find myself amidst. Yeah, I wish I could have gone to that meetup. That sounds amazing. But amidst
Oh,
so many cool people, such
yeah.
as yourself, who I totally agree with the way that you view things. What our as well as what our contributions are and should be.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's weird to see the synthesis of these two worlds coming together, but it was inevitable anyway.
Well, there has to be a border at, anytime two things come together, they're made of different material, you know what I mean? And there's going to be friction where they meet, and we're in the friction right now. And it's, it feels so weird to say, but it's going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay, but and bad people are, I was talking to Lorin, my editor, last night, and he said, a lot of people are suffering. And that's the part of this that I'm having a hard time with, is that I just don't want anybody to suffer, and it's suffering is inevitable. It's the human condition. And I don't say that to be uncompassionate, or, but we're human and we're vulnerable. And, we have to be able to wrap our heads around. I don't believe that death is the end, and I'm not afraid of it. I know that there's strong emotions that come when you lose someone or when you're lost by your loved ones, but um, that's part of the human condition, and our culture has taught us to be really afraid of that. And I swear I'm not a bad person, but I always kind of secretly feel jealous of when someone passes away, because they get to know what's on the other side, or maybe there's nothing and then it doesn't even matter. But um,
There's not
we need.
nothing. I know.
I know. Energy, you can't erase energy, and that's what we are. And so, of course, there's something after this. It
Yeah.
seems it's irrational to think that there's nothing after this. But anyways, side note, but um, so if we can release ourselves of that fear, and understand that we have the capability to keep ourselves safe, and we have the capability of self-governance. We can decide what's best for us.
Hmm.
And we can also trust others to do the same. I
Hmm.
think, and at the beginning of this year, I just decided, like, I'm finally going to trust myself, and I'm going to trust my family and my friends, and I'm going to trust my whole community. I'm going to trust the universe. And now, that's being put to the test, but that's okay. It's okay, and that's really what I'm saying, is even though it's scary and there is a lot of friction, because the old world is gone. Like, no matter what happens, the world
Hmm.
is not going to go back to the way that it was.
No, it's
And
not.
so this is the new world, and there is friction, and we're living in it right now, but that's okay. We're going to come out of this. Just trust yourself to do the right thing, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm with you there. Death doesn't scare me. Like I'm not a big fan of
Hmm.
pain and struggle and
Hmm.
suffering
Oh
in
yeah, me too.
hospitals and getting poked with needles and shit. I'm not into that. But
Yeah.
the death part, I'm just trying to figure out. Because I've been teaching Tufty, and in the book she says, "Look, you are the same soul.
Yeah.
You just came back here probably many many times. Who knows
Hmm.
why? We don't know why. We can't remember that far back. But like after this, when this thing does lift and the veil is lifted and we do
Hmm.
exit the skin cage, then
Yep.
what to do at that point? Like, do you go to the
Uh-huh.
light? Is get back into the whole like conspiracy thing. It's like, do you go to the light and then you're reincarnated back here again as like this, Rick and Morty esque worker bee who's just creating, energy for the Matrix, or
Right.
I think like probably a lot of us, the Bodhisattva sort of idea kind of makes sense.
I'm
to
not
sort
sure
of.
about that. What is that?
So a bodhisattva in Buddhism is somebody who kind of comes back, even though they don't have to, I guess, but to help other people, raise their level of consciousness so that they don't get stuck.
Oh, I
Uh,
think we have plenty of those people around today. I know a few of those guys.
but yeah, I mean, I think we all feel trapped. It's hard not to feel trapped by this limited reality, and
Hmm.
trying to figure out what our I don't want to say I guess what our role is while we're here, and then what to do when this is all over. Like
Right.
I've had people make some interesting requests, like, "Hey, so if you come back here, can we make sure that we're in the like we're
Oh, that's
buddies?"
funny.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm honored, but I don't really want to come back, dude."
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't want to make a soul pact with you. I want to see what's after this.
yeah, yeah. Let me get some options, some clarity on the situation first, because
Yeah.
if I could just like melt into colors or something, I might choose that.
You're right.
Oh man, just dissolve
I
and
don't. I'm trying to wrap my head around what the possibilities of what else we could be if we're not some earthly being. Like I don't want to be a tree. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to. I want like how could I be able to like explore the universe if the universe isn't going to look anything like what I know the universe to look like, because the only reason it looks like that to me is I have human eyes. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like there's just so much unknown. We can only look at the world through a human perspective. We don't really have
right.
so I all I know is that after this, could it just please blow my mind?
Yeah,
Whatever it is. Let it blow my mind and I'll be so happy.
I have pretty good. I have faith that that will definitely happen. Um, I really. I don't know. I've had my mind blown even in this Earth suit.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's a definite. I think our minds are definitely going to be blown because
Yeah.
you know being I don't know. I guess trapped is probably not the best word, but being in this particular incarnation in these meat coats, it's just it's just a very limiting experience. I think
Right. My
compared
best
to a dream.
friend Mama Sarah says after this she thinks we go back into like the cosmic energetic soup where we get to sit and marinate on our lifetime and add it to the collective. And that feels really good to me, and especially because there's a Jewish belief that when you die, you go home to live with your fathers. And I don't know, that gives me shivers thinking about it, but I really like it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. The way Vadim explains it in his book is really pretty too. With the like we're suspended water drops in the air, and then at the end we go back into the ocean. I like,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, I like that too. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't take anybody's word for anything.
No, me either.
Maybe we were put here by aliens who are trying to trap us. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows, and if they say they do, they're lying.
That's right. That's right. But a lot of the ancient stuff, the ancient history stuff, has really hit my radar lately. It's super
Yeah.
interesting. There's a guy named Matt LaCroix who's done a lot of research. He's
Oh,
got a
I've been watching all kinds of Matt LaCroix.
he's great, isn't he? Oh
He
man.
really is, and I found him on the Tinfoil Hat podcast. He just like blew my mind.
Yeah, he's great. And I've seen Michael Tessarian teach on some of these concepts as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, I haven't thought of Michael Tessarian in probably like 10 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean he did a lot of work, and then
Yeah,
Mark
he did.
Passio too. As not charismatic as Mark is, but he's
What's his name?
Mark Passio. He's a former he was in the Satanic Church for a long time, uh,
Okay.
and Anton LaVey, I believe, whatever it's called when you knight the person or whatever. But at a certain point, he decided that he was going to leave the Satanic Church and try to wake people up, and they just laughed at him.
Mm.
So they didn't even try to stop him. They were just like, "Yeah, good luck."
Yeah.
But he's got some pretty interesting research, and he's talked about that a little bit. But he's also talked a lot. He's broken down the matrix and a lot of the symbology stuff that I've learned
Okay.
directly from him because he talks about the establishment and the pyramid and the structure
Mhm.
and how the capstone's not set yet, but the people in the satanic church are just trying to get as high up into that pyramid as
Yeah.
they possibly can. The people who are looking for power, those people, politicians, satanic church leaders, probably Christian or religious church leaders, etc., are
Yeah.
all basically, maybe they have a different perspective or perception of the pyramid and the power structure, but they're just trying to get as high up into that hierarchy as they possibly can, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Which I mean, you guys, you're gross. That's really
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah. Come on.
You should just be like coming together with the rest of us and
Yeah.
realizing that your shortcuts that you think you're taking are going to weigh on your soul for eternity, motherfucker. So you're gross and go ahead and do whatever you're going to do because we don't need you. We
That's
don't need
right.
you. It's, I, you know, jeez.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a shame. And when I've talked to a friend of mine, my same friend who's in Italy, we've talked
Hmm.
about because these people are clearly psychopaths, sociopaths.
Yeah.
So that being the
Yep.
case, you have to have a different approach with them. And he's talked to me about, and this isn't my original thought, but brilliant about like you have to have empathy for the psychopath.
Oh, sure.
As bizarre as that, like I would have never thought of that, but it's like that's
You
why
do.
this thing has gotten so sloppy and so out of hand.
Uh,
These people feel threatened. They're going to do
yes.
stupid things, really
Yeah.
make bad decisions because they're not
Yeah.
coming from a place of calm trust in the
No.
universe. They're coming
No.
from a place of panic and fear. Because like once you get to the top of this thing, it's Game of Thrones, man. There's nobody
Yes.
your friend in this
Mm-mm.
power, search for power and placement in a hierarchy. As soon
Yeah.
as you get to the top, somebody's trying to knock you off.
Right.
So
And
that's not a settling place to be.
this brings us around to unconditional love because when you're in Game of Thrones and you can't even sleep because if you close your eyes for a second like it's lights out, like, and
Yep.
that's the game that they're playing. um we, as people who, and there's a lot more of us, the news wants to tell us that everybody's bad and you can't trust your neighbor and blah blah blah, but we know that that's not true. Just think of all of the good people that we're going to be fine
Mhm.
because we understand that if you come from a place of love, you have so much more power over the world. Um, these people never got that lesson. They never got that lesson. Somewhere in their past, they've been really hurt and traumatized, and um, they've made the decisions that they've made and done the harm that they've done because maybe it's self-preservation, maybe it's hard to it's like you were saying, it's hard to empathize with these people, but you have to understand that like somewhere down deep inside these people is that child that never got to come out and become a real person, you know and that's understanding that and giving them space to make all of the mistakes that they have made and that they are making and that they're going to keep making in the future until they figure it out. Giving them space to do that and, holding them accountable for sure, because another part of unconditional love is that when someone you love is fucking up, you tell them that they're dead ass wrong and that they
Mhm.
better get their shit right, you know?
Yeah, I think as much as we can, if we can play our own games outside of that
Mm-hmm.
system, the more
Exactly.
power that we hold ourselves, and
Yep.
that's a big important thing. And we need to be. It's tough. It's like herding cats when you're talking to individualist people, about working together because we're all so self reliant, and we're also used to doing things for ourselves, but we have to
Mhm.
remember that there's a bunch of other people that are just like us. And like you said, just a few minutes ago, the majority of the people in the world are just good people. They
Yes.
want to take care of their families. They want to live the best life they can, and that is truly their goal. They're not trying to, and a lot of people are maybe not aware of what's going on. Maybe they're a little bit more like in dream mannequin status, as Tufty talks about, and then
Right.
you have to have compassion there too.
Yep.
But understanding that we all have mainly the same goal. It's not to have power over others or
Yeah.
force other people to do certain things, but to encourage ourselves to be powerful with our own
Yep.
individual powers that we have, and then to share those with each other, and remember that we're all in this together. So definitely communicating and continuing
Mhm.
to play our own games and do our own.
Right. And also with that and keeping in that idea that this is a game, like we think that superpowers, because of movies and comic books and stuff, superpowers are some, crazy physical ability or whatever. But that's not what, like, there are real superpowers and everybody has them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think our job, now that we have some downtime, our job is to um, get to know our authentic selves a little bit so that we know what those superpowers are and we can go out and use them to help everyone, and to help ourselves in turn. So,
Absolutely, yeah, because that's really how you know that you're doing the thing that you should be doing. I think it's like you click into this thing with this idea of outer intention or God or whatever. Because if you read like Outwitting the Devil, for instance, that's such a good book. I recommend reading that if you've never
yeah,
read it.
everyone read that book. It's so good.
So good. But like what it talks about is that the devil controls 98 out of 100 people's minds, and it's through the law of hypnotic rhythm, which is just allowing yourself to just be lived and not challenging or thinking for yourself or taking any initial steps, you know, with your will. So,
Hmm.
the big takeaway there is to think and act uh, for yourself and listen to your own most inner voice. Then take that, ask what the world needs, and then find out what your superpower is and give your
Hmm.
superpower to what the world needs. And then that creates a win-win-win. In my
Yeah.
case, I've noticed that people really seem to like, and I like doing podcasts. I like doing comedy. People tend to really get a lot of value though from the videos that I make on YouTube on the
The
whiteboard.
whiteboard videos are so wonderful.
So
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
doing that, instead of me being like, no, I don't want to do that because, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's
Hmm.
like, well, that's outer intention. That's that helps people the most. They like that the best. 10, 15-minute video, just explaining a concept. And I could make them probably for the rest of time, I
Yeah.
mean, while I'm
Yeah.
stuck inside, what else am I going to do? So I got to, I'll have another one come out tomorrow, and then I'll make some more, and then I'll continue with that. But that allows me to do the fun things too, like the silly podcasts and the conspiracy
Yeah.
shows, and all of that kind of stuff as well. And I really want to see, and I think I will, even without pushing it too much, the two worlds come together. The world
Hmm.
of sort of comedy and art, as well as the world
Yes.
of spirituality and teaching and sharing. I would say more sharing
Yeah.
anyway than teaching, just because I don't like the idea of gurus, of people telling you anything
Yeah.
other. A good teacher leads you to yourself. Period.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
You don't need a middleman.
No.
No.
So I just want to be as helpful and bring as. And then I'll wake up and be bummed out like yesterday. But my friend Steph, she had sent me a Marco Polo, and it just cheered me up so much, And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I was like, I woke up and I was like, this sucks. I'm just gonna take a nap. And then I just looked on my phone, and there was this really sweet message, and so I was like, oh well, all right, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do these things. It's easy to just fall back into sleep. Um,
Hmm.
but also, it's I don't know. However, we can motivate ourselves to just keep going, um, communicate with each other, keep each other in a positive mood and optimistic,
Mhm.
because it is a time of great uncertainty. So, and we should be paying attention too to make sure that there's no laws getting passed behind our backs in
Right.
Congress that are like ending end-to-end encryption on our phones, for instance. These types of things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some shady stuff going on. They're trying to throw everything they can into these bailout bills and all of this stuff. So, guys, just kind of stay diligent.
Yeah, just pay attention. One
Yeah,
thing I think that is a great misunderstanding in transurfing as well is that, oh, well, if I just ignore things that are bad and only
yeah,
focus on positive things, then those bad things will go away. I can assure you that
mhm.
that's not the case. We need to be aware of those things.
Yes,
We don't need to be emotionally invested. That's the
yes,
difference.
yes,
And that's falling into the pendulum's trap and getting hooked by that pendulum.
right.
Whereas you can acknowledge it and call a spade for what it is, and then shift your
Yeah.
emotions and your energy to something more positive, a solution, for instance.
Well, and just understand that you have the choice if you're going to live in a fear-based reality or a love-based reality, and how the filter that you take this information in, because you're right, we need to have awareness of our place in the world and what's happening around us. It doesn't have to be the focus of your world. So just, yeah.
That's really well put, and I think that's an important thing that I'm trying to balance, during this, and that's something that we all just could use a little help with. I think
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
easy to just fall into whatever that emotion is, that emotional state, especially negative ones. Um,
Yeah.
but we have to stay aware too. You don't just get to sweep things under the rug.
Mm-mm.
Those traumas are bad, and because you've ignored them, and you have to acknowledge them and release them in order to be free of those things. And the same thing is true with the things that are going on globally, politically as well. We can't just ignore what is happening, and expect it to fix itself. We have to acknowledge it, but also we don't want to feed fear
Right.
to those things, because that's just going to make them worse. So it's just about a matter of awareness, and just being vigilant, and focusing
Mhm.
on solutions, focusing on advantages, and then continuing to move forward with each other, lock and step.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just remember that if you are feeling anxious, if you are feeling afraid, just acknowledge it. It's okay. Like, we're not telling you that, oh, it's not good to be afraid. Those are all natural emotions. So if you are feeling that way, it's okay to acknowledge it, but let it pass through you. Take as much time as you need and let it pass through you, because better emotions are coming.
Absolutely, and that's the key here is acknowledge that emotion, and then ask yourself where it's coming from.
Yeah.
What is the belief that's causing that? What was the experience that happened to you to where you, even in this uncertain time, that you're frightened? Because I'll tell you what, like the last paradigm, the old world, it was not nearly as secure as we all thought. And
Yeah.
this is
Yep.
absolute proof of that right now. You think you had job security, you don't ever have job security. That's stuff that we have to create for
Yeah.
ourselves. My business is in the moment tanked, as an
Yeah.
Airbnb business. So like nobody's traveling. Airbnb sent me an email that was like, oh, we're going to do the right thing. And let me tell you how much I love getting an email from a giant corporation that tells me what morality is. But, they're going to give everybody their money back. And I don't disagree. I think that also is the right thing to do. But
Yeah.
they're probably going to get an insurance claim and
Oh,
make
yeah.
all their money back, and then just screw all their
Right.
hosts out of them. And that just is what it is. We're all in the same boat right now. And so that's okay too, but like I have a lot of friends who are freaking out, and I'm like, hey, there's really nothing to freak out about yet, because we don't really know
Yeah.
what's going to
Yep.
happen next. So let's just hold tight. Let's just relax. Let's
Yep.
monitor this, see what happens, and then we'll take action when we know the time is right.
Yep. And by the way, care for yourself. Don't stop,
Don't
like
don't
I
stop
just
manscaping.
Yeah, don't stop manscaping. Manscaped, if you want to sponsor podcasts or where it's at now because nobody can leave their house, let me know. Hit me up.
That's right, dog. Oh, so stupid. But yeah, no, definitely take care of yourself. Show yourself all that self love and be good to yourself.
Yeah,
Bubble baths or
absolutely.
whatever that looks like for you.
Yes.
Be sure to love and dote on your physical
And remember, it's
representation.
going to be okay.
It is.
It's going to be okay.
It
Yeah.
is going to be okay. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Oh, I needed this. It was so good to talk to you. So
Likewise.
good.
It's
Yeah.
so good. And yeah, folks out there, please reach out. I want to interact. I want to engage. I'm really not selling anything. I just want to talk to people and try and
Yeah.
find a support network, which, we're very rich in
Yeah.
amazing human beings around us. So thanks
Yep.
everybody for all of that support and stuff.
And tell everybody where you're at just one more time, the best way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm on YouTube, Bootsy Greenwood. I'm Bootsy Greenwood all over the place. That is my porn star name. My real name is Owen Hunt, which is a character on Grey's Anatomy. So that totally ruined my Google search ability, and I had to go with something else. So I went with Bootsy Greenwood, just because I felt like it was unique and it had a good ring to it.
It's perfect.
It's the first. It's the first pet you ever had, plus the street you grew up on. That's how you calculate that. So when you write into me, tell me what your porn star name is. Or your
I'm
stripper
Dinky
name or whatever.
11th Street.
I love how it's numerical. That's great.
But it's 11. I feel like there's synchronicity in that.
That is a very synchronistic, sex worker name. Maybe a sex worker name. I don't know. I want to try to use the proper vernacular here. I don't want to insult anybody. But
no, true.
But no, nothing but love. Yeah, reach out to me, guys. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And, I can take calls and do things like that too. And if you're interested in coaching or whatever, I always do I'll do a free consultation call and chat with you and see if it's something that is a good fit. So I can offer that. And then, trying to think what else. Oh yeah, please check out the comedy stuff. Flying Squid comedy all over the place.
I just want to stress for a second, if there are people out there who are maybe not as familiar with the material that Owen and I have been discussing, and you are interested in a coaching session, it might be really helpful for you just to be able to talk to somebody who has this perspective that can kind of address from an outsider's viewpoint what you're going through and maybe ways that you might find to help yourself through it. So definitely hit Owen up. He's a very open-hearted person, and I couldn't think of anybody better.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Lindsay too, because we both have experienced this dark night of the soul, this sort of rock bottom mentally, if you will, and then we've built from there a new foundation, and one that is built on unconditional love, on spirituality, on giving, and I think the new world, the new economy is going to be a new sort of more people just giving, that's like a new 1%, like my friend said,
I like
the
it.
1% that gives, and that's really where we need to begin, and loving on each other. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm around. I'm definitely available.
And Bootsy Greenwood on Patreon also. So thank you so much, Owen. And I'll talk to you whenever you want. So you just get a hold of me. I always love talking to you, and I love seeing your whiteboard videos. Just you're doing such good work. Keep doing it.
Thank you. So are you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm here. Hit me up anytime. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Wonderful.